Assalamu alaikum. I tried really hard to not fall coming here. For those of you who saw my spectacular entrance, I fell on the stairs. So thank you. Now I feel like we're all family. I was, as I have mentioned, born in South Africa, but I am in many ways Australian because I've been living there for the last 23 years. And in my Australian tradition, we begin all of our gatherings with a welcome to country, where we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and future. And we admit that sovereignty has never been ceded. Coming from South Africa, that's really important. But I think that in the context of tonight, that's equally important, given that it is an apartheid and it is a genocide. But I'm here today to talk to you more about the aid, which is a question that's on so many people's minds. We know in many ways there's not enough aid going through. And there's also so much of misinformation about, is there aid going through? I hear every day, there were no trucks gone through, someone sent something through a tunnel, other person, but there's a flight that went in, the pigeons took it in. But we need to dispel that. Because for as long as we have misinformation, the people who suffer from that misinformation are the people of Gaza. I have just come back from Egypt, and I have been doing humanitarian aid for a long time, and we've been through many wars and crises. And we're at the start of this crisis in terms of how we deliver aid. So I'll go through a very simple process in what it is. The only way to get aid right now into Gaza is through Egypt. It goes across the Rafah crossing, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, but I'd like to give you a little bit more information of what that layout looks like. So 30 kilometers away from the Rafah border is a town called Al Arish. Al Arish is home to warehouses of enough aid to go into Gaza. It's being stocked there. Trucks are packed from Al Arish, and they then get transported into Rafah through that crossing. At the moment in the warehouses in Al Arish, trucks come, but goods are being packed there. There seems to be a little bit of a backlog. Initially, when this crisis started, we were packing truckfuls of beans and truckfuls of rice and truckfuls of all of these different items to go in. But if we think of what a war zone might look like, and if I give you a truck full of beans, well, what are you going to do with that? It doesn't really make sense. And so the authorities within Gaza said, pack for us a food box. It's the easiest thing. And that makes logical sense. So we try and follow the advice that we get from inside of Gaza because they know what they're going through. In as much as we'd all love to get really creative, and I'm sure if we were given the opportunity, each person here would give Gaza absolutely everything. But it's not what they need in terms of aid. We have to make it as convenient as possible for them to be able to access it, because right now, through aid, especially through food, we want to just preserve life. Preservation of life is absolutely essential. So sending some expired biscuits doesn't preserve life. We have to get nutrition. We have to get something that's easy. We need to get something that's convenient. We need to make sure that it has water in there because dehydration is really important, and that's what's important. So we have a box that has been recommended through the authorities in Gaza of what a food box should look like. So we pack these food boxes and we put them together. We had realized very early in, about 2 weeks ago, sending it to Al Arish was not an option for us. We needed to actually pack our boxes in Cairo. And obviously, because it's a war zone, we all want to be as close to the border as possible, right? How many of you wish you could be at Rafah right now? All of you, absolutely. And I, especially, wanted to be there, right? In the early days of the Syrian crisis, I could get into Syria and I could do that. And my humanitarian brain goes, that's where you need to be. But it's actually not. I need to be in a position where I can get as much aid as possible in. And it makes me reflect on all of us need to figure out what is our position in this genocide and what do I need to be doing as an individual? And it might look differently for all of us. But getting back to how we pack these, trucks come. On each truck, you can get 22 pallets. Each pallet can have 72 boxes of food on it. So you could send an entire truck of food. What we find, though, is those trucks get rejected. But if you do a combination of both food and medicine, they seem to get through much better. And so we do 18 pallets of food, and we do 4 pallets of medicine, and they seem to work quite well. So once trucks are actually packed and sealed, there's a packing list done in Cairo. It then goes to Al Arish. From Al Arish, it goes to a different border, which is called the Al Oja border. That border is controlled by the Israelis. Every truck of aid that enters into Gaza has to be inspected and approved by them. So essentially, they still control exactly what goes in. So, we have to then get that approval, and they will tell us on the day how many trucks can go through and how many can't go through. And based on what they allow in is what goes in. From there, it then moves to the Rafah border, and from the Rafah border, it goes across into Gaza. Food aid is handled over to UNRWA and also to the Palestinian Red Crescent. Medical aid goes to the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health then distributes that according to the need on the ground. So how do we purchase medicines, and where are we getting this information? Because you could send in anything, but is that what they really need? We get an updated list every couple of days from the Ministry of Health within Gaza to tell us this is what they need. We purchase according to their lists. We give them medical equipment according to what they need. Within the organizations that I work with, we've been able to send in 2 operation theaters, everything that they need in the last 3 weeks. We've sent in medical equipment, we send in medicine, and we're sending in food. But it's unpredictable. Yesterday, 0 aid trucks entered Gaza. 0. The day before that, we celebrated, my team and I, as we were packing boxes, because we have a warehouse that pretty much goes 24/7. We've got 3 shifts where we're packing. And we got the news that 167 trucks of aid had gone through, and it was the highest number we've had. That celebration was short-lived, though, with nothing going in yesterday. And inshallah, a little bit later on today, we'll know how many trucks went in today. But that doesn't stop us. That's not good enough. We have to continue this. We have to continue to pray that there will be a ceasefire. We're hearing in the media that there will be a 5-day pause, and we pray for that pause. Because during that pause, we are all getting ready for it. Tents, blankets, it's starting to get cold, it's raining. These are all things that are essential. And so through the same methods, we're going to try and get it in until such point the borders are open and aid can actually go through. This is our role in this crisis, and I think one of the best things that I would like to actually share with all of you, because we can often lose hope. And there's so many of you who've come out here today, and you give me hope, and I think that we need to give each other hope, because we are hurting as humanity. There isn't any one of us who's sitting here who's not actually hurting. And we need to acknowledge that hurt, but we also need to continue to do whatever it is that we actually can. And we all need to be part of that solution. We will continue our work. We have people all over the world who at the drop of a hat would leave everything and come and give it. We have aid agencies working across the world. So we all need to continue in whatever way we play a role within this crisis and continue to do that. I would like to also thank the organizers for letting me come in. I got off a plane. I'm very sleep deprived. And I'd also like to excuse myself because we won't be able to stay much longer for this event. But I just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Gilbert, and you're so lucky to have him here. We'll be listening online because we actually need to leave. Thank you so much for your attention. South Africa, obviously, will always remain a very close part of me. And it's wonderful that we can be a part of a solution. And I'd like to take that message back to the people that I also work with. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.